Guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new, my name is Din and I'm going to show you how to prepare your ingredients, mix the spices and then cook the dish. Very simple method I'm going to use, so please follow the instructions carefully. So let's cook. Hi everyone, my name's Chef Din and I'm going to show you how to cook base gravy. Everyone seems to be cooking it different, but I'm going to cook it the old method using carcasses to give you the stock, and also it's going to take about 2 hours to cook because the more you cook the base gravy, especially the onions, the better it will taste, and thus making all your curries you make really tasty. So what we're going to do first is basically get the onions together and put those on first, and then start getting our chicken together. And putting the bones on as well, because it's important that we get the bones cooking in stock to give maximum flavour to our base gravy. Right, I'm going to put on the stock now. I'm using 2 carcasses of the chicken and also 3 litres of water. So put it in a big saucepan like you see and start to bring it to the boil. Put in the dry spices at this stage and a teaspoon of salt as well. Once it's boiling, then turn it down and let it simmer. This simmering will go on for a good hour. Then we're going to put on our base gravy. So in a large saucepan, put your onions. In this we're going to put our oil. That's 2 cups of oil. We're going to use quite a lot of oil in this base gravy because I want to get the correct texture as well as a good gravy. But don't worry about the oil because we'll be taking it out as seasoned oil for our curries. So in the pot, as you can see, we've got the green pepper, tomatoes and fresh coriander. Give that a good stir. We're going to do this and stir it for a good half an hour to let the onions and the tomatoes and so on release all its water. This process makes the cooking process a bit quicker. So put your garlic and ginger paste, a good 3 to 4 tablespoons of garlic and ginger paste, and your salt. That's about 2 tablespoons of salt, and give that a good stir. What I'm showing you today is base gravy made the old method. I learnt from chefs who used to cook in the late 60s, and I learnt this recipe in the 70s. So I hope you enjoy this gravy, because this gravy has its own flavours, and all you need to do is just add chicken to it and you have yourself a chicken curry. So I'm going to show you how it's done from start to finish. This video may be a little bit longer than normal, but you need to watch it right through to really understand how it's done. So what we're going to do is stew all this ingredients in the pot right down so all the water is released. Add in carrot to it as well now, as you can see, and hopefully we will stew it down for half an hour and keep stirring so it doesn't burn, and then simmer it for another say an hour minimum. So as you can see, it's getting down a bit, but at this stage you have to be careful because it can stick. There's the stock bubbling away gently. So the water has been released, as you can see now. It's looking good. So we're going to carry on this method until it gets a bit more cooked. After another 5-10 minutes, as you can see, it's stewing down really nicely now, and this is what we want. We want it to really break down, so it kind of helps the cooking process as well. Add a couple of ladles of our stock just to start our simmering process. We're going to have to simmer this for a good hour now after we've had the stock. So we'll bring it to the boil, turn it down and just let it simmer cook for 1 hour. But 15 minutes into the cooking, what I want you to do is add 1.5 teaspoon of turmeric. That will make the onions a nice colour when we go to blend it as well. So this is a process that was taught to me by chefs many years ago, and it's always worked for me, and it gives a really nice flavour. So basically now is the time we blend the gravy. As you can see, the turmeric's made it a nice yellow colour now. Blend it right down until it's a nice and smooth, and there's no lumps at all. It's very important. So blend it right down. You can do this with a normal blender if you have one, or a handheld one. We used to use in the restaurant the big like a paddle ones, which were quite hilarious sometimes. But in the old days we used to do it manually, the gravy, and it used to take good half an hour to do it manually by hand. Anyway, once we get to this stage and it's nice and blended, what we're going to do is add our stock. Be very careful at this stage because everything's really hot and you easily burn yourself. I could tell you a few stories how people burnt themselves in the past, but I haven't got the time now. So anyway, get someone else to hold the sieve. It makes life much easier. And once you've got all the stock in our pot, then what we want to do is bring everything back to a boiling stage again. It's nearly ready now for the final stages. What we have to do now is check the thickness of the gravy, which is very important because we've still got another 10-15 minutes of cooking. So what we want to do is basically add water if we need it, and then we're going to add some more oil. We're going to make our seasoned oil here, so we've got a lot of oil for our cooking of curries. So don't worry about the oil, because this method I'll show you how to take the oil out, and then there'll be no oil in the gravy itself, but what it will give us is seasoned oil for our cooking of all our curries. So I've put in about another 2 cups. So in total we've used about 4 cups of oil, but you'll see probably about 3 cups will be taken out after we finish cooking this gravy. So on top of the oil, just add the paprika, as you can see, and all the other spices. So let the oil first take the flavour of all the spices before we start to give it a good boil, so it goes into the stock as well. But we want the flavoured oil and the coloured oil as well. So put all these ingredients in just on the top. Don't mix it, just let the oil take in the flavours at the moment. Now this process won't take very long now. What we want to do is bring it to the boil and simmer it for about 10 minutes or so, and basically then turn it right down, the lowest you can, so the oil will float to the top. This is the point we want, so that the oil will float to the top. Remember, if the gravy is too thick at this stage, the oil will be retained in the gravy, so you have to get the texture right. You'll know this by the oil coming to the top. Now just bring it to the boil, and once it's come to the boil, we're going to put a lid on it and turn the gas down so it's really low for the oil to come to the top. If you find that it's still boiling, it's best to move it to a smaller burner where it's even low, so it can slowly come to the top, all the oil. This is how we was sure that when cooking curries that there was no excess oil in the gravy. Everyone's had curries when they've taken it home. They've had like a half a centimetre of oil floating on top of their curry. Well, this is why you get that curry, because unfortunately they don't know the method to get the oil out of the gravy. So when you take it home, it basically floats on top. So this is how you take all the oil out. You'll find that we're going to remove probably about 3 cups at least. So all the oil has gone out of the gravy, but we need the oil to give the gravy a good texture. So basically there's one need, but we're killing 2 birds with 1 stone here. We've got our flavoured oil as well, and plus we've got a really good gravy. So this is my base gravy. So I hope you make this well, because at the end of the day, everything I'm going to show you from now will be the starting point from this gravy. So watch my other videos now to see how to cook the different curries from this base gravy. Thanks for watching, and hopefully you'll be seeing my other videos coming out shortly showing how to make all the different curries. At this stage also you can add a little bit of water to get the right thickness, because if it's too thick it'd be no good. We're going to cook our curries within 5 minutes or so when we get going. So this is the right consistency, and that's it, my base gravy from the 70s.